I know I'm a little late on this and I don't normally do movies, but whatever. The timing works out anyway because I'm going to talk spoilers, and by now I think most people have seen this movie. I don't really know how you can talk about a movie without going into spoilers anyway, so here it goes. Overall, I think Zootopia was pretty good. I hadn't actually been paying that much attention to the trailers or any hype surrounding it, so other than the amount of furry porn on my Twitter feed, I had no expectations for this movie. I didn't know it was going to be a buddy cop movie, so that caught me a little off guard. Still, I think it worked out well because it gave the protagonist a reason to explore the city and meet all these characters without it seeming too contrived. I don't really know how other people judge movies, but I tend to be really nitpicky and have high standards. For me, movies are almost entirely about pacing, level of cringe in the dialogue, logical consistencies, and any details that bring me out of the movie. So for the most part, Zootopia was pretty good with all that, but there are a few things that bothered me. I guess the thing that I found immediately weird was the focus on racism. I know that the movie was trying to have some kind of message, but I'm not entirely sure what exactly they were trying to say. Racism is bad? Yeah, I think we understand that already. Were they trying to say that everyone is racist? I honestly don't really know if I should even think about it that much. But most of my problems center around the third act. For the most part, it just felt too rushed, especially when compared to how well paced the rest of the movie was. For starters, it was really strange how upset Nick got after Judy gave her little speech about predators having an inclination toward violence. Nick's character is all about not being transparent with his emotions. He wouldn't have been visibly upset. What he should have done is been a passive-aggressive asshole about it. And since Judy is fairly open with her emotions, at some point she would have called Nick out for acting so weird. Then they could have had their little yelling match and a tearful apology or whatever. Another thing that really bothered me is when Judy gave up her badge because she felt like she did the wrong thing and then goes home, only to immediately realize she needed to go back. Was she home at the farm for like an hour? And then she's just a police officer again when she comes back. I don't think that's how it works. It was really rushed and ultimately unnecessary. That part would have flowed better if she would have just stayed a cop and we would have seen more character development from her as she struggles with being seen as a hero and at the same time knowing she did something wrong. Wouldn't that have been way more interesting? She could have felt compelled to further investigate the reason why predators were going savage, and then she stumbles across the nightflower plant. And then the rest of the movie could have been pretty much the same. And yeah, I get that part of the reason why she went home was to resolve the plot point about the fox that bullied her when she was a kid, and about her parents not trusting foxes, but that could have just been handled in a phone call where they just mention working with the fox now, or just have him in the background. It was already established that her parents like to call her with video chat. Then during the entire thing with finding the night howler plant and confronting the villains, wouldn't it have made more sense for Nick to still be upset with Judy? Like I said earlier, Nick would have still been helping her, but just been really passive-aggressive about everything. It would have added more tension because the two would have had to escape the bad guys while still struggling just to work together. And that way the fake out with him going savage would have been much more believable. At that point, he would have still been upset with her, so he's savage and he just doesn't like her at that point. Wouldn't it have been more interesting if Judy thought he was actually trying to kill her instead of being in on the whole thing? I don't know, maybe that's too intense for a kid's movie. So third act aside, there were a few things that really bothered me. Remember that panther that got his eye scratched out by the otter? And then when he went savage, he still had his eye? I get that a missing eye would have been too gruesome for a kid's movie, but they could have just made it white. I feel like that was probably the original intention. The way that it's built up with him missing an eye and then the camera zooming in during the shot where the panther opens up his eye once he's savage really makes me think that originally one of them was supposed to be missing or milky or whatever. What probably happened is someone decided that even that was too much for a PG movie, so they remade it with him having a normal eye. I also found the whole joke about Nick selling the shrew godfather or whatever a skunk rug to be a little bit off-putting. In the context of the movie, he basically sold him a person's skin. Isn't that a little gruesome and weird? Why would Nick even have that? I know he's a criminal, but he's more like a hustler. He's kind of a coward. I definitely don't see him being able to stomach dealing in body parts. I feel like there was something else written there originally, like maybe Nick owed him money or something, but then someone at the studio said, "Kids don't understand money, make it about a skunk butt instead." Alright, so the big question, do I think this movie was made specifically for furries? No, I don't. There was definitely some marketing aimed at furries, but I don't really think that Disney knows what furries are. It seems kind of ironic considering Disney was one of the top things people talk about when they mention why they are furry in the first place. If Disney had any idea how much pornography this movie spawned, they definitely wouldn't want to be associated with furries in general. It's really not good for their kid-friendly image. Though Disney's practices about this sort of thing have been questioned in the past. Maybe they know exactly what they're doing. I probably missed some things and overlooked something, but these are just my initial thoughts after watching the movie. Maybe I'll go more in depth on it after I watch it again when the movie comes out on DVD. Oh, and one more thing. There weren't any fursuiters in the theater, so that was kind of disappointing. Anyway, I'm Cothrix, and you have a wonderful day.